ears are very important to us. Please hold on, and our program will begin shortly. The Soundcheck podcast is coming up. Please continue to hold. Keep up with the Soundcheck podcast and everything that's happening in the New Sounds empire. Just go to newsounds.org and follow us on social media. All of the icons are in the top right corner of the page. All of our other musicians are currently playing for other customers. Please stay with us, and someone will play for you in just a moment. From newsounds.org, it's time for another live performance in our Soundcheck podcast series, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. I'm John Schaefer. Blick Bassy's music is a winning blend of Western, West African, and Central African pop. The singer and guitarist lives in France these days, but he's originally from Cameroon, and that country's struggle for independence from French colonial rule is the topic of his latest album, called 1958. It brings Blick Bassy back to our studio to perform for us in a solo setting. Here's a song called Ngi.
It's all about being well. You only 10 long years. I be well best, on best, malala best. Solo love well, you sang in long years, you sang. The pan no joy. Boy ever so, ibela. On ben go, I even wabe, ngiyeni. It's all about me well. You kang me long yes. You kang me bon best palal best. I be war. Yeah, I be war. I be welly. You only 10 just. Little guy, when he be on, woman that ma, Yamambar, Nina, let it go along. Guinea, bias in on jal, in a chest. Best by in tall po. Telepi utila, in a chest.
That is Blick Bassy, the Cameroonian singer, songwriter, and guitarist, and a song called Ngi, which was played on, I think, the smallest electric guitar I've ever seen, Blick. It's a real, I mean, it's a standard, it's the standard strings, it's
Yes.
the regular tuning, but
Absolutely,
a very,
yeah.
very small guitar.
Yeah, because I was when I before the tour, I was looking for an amazing instrument, as I really love for every project to have a really special, friends, like because my instrument are my friends, so I need a
Ah.
really special friend to be with me on the road, as we sometimes we have to make really long tours. So I need a beautiful friend and special friends, and with this long, it's more easy to bring it on the
Right.
plane.
If long tour, you need a friend you can carry easily. So you're touring around playing songs from this album called 1958. What's the significance of that date?
1958 it's a really important date for me, because it's in this year, in that year, Umnyobe was killed. Umnyobe, who was a Cameroonian freedom fighter,
Mm-hmm.
and during the colonization, he was killed 13 September 1958, just because he was fighting for the human rights, he was fighting for independence, he was fighting for his community, he was fighting for us to be here today, be free, like free men, just living like live like a normal human being.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was killed by French, because belongs to space what was created by foreigners, and we still live in a space we call our country. And for me, still today, we don't really have a country. We're living a kind of prison, where we have a prison guard. Our president are the kind of people who are, just protecting some prisoner, just to stay in the space,
Yeah.
without going out, and
Like a prison warden,
exactly,
as opposed to a real president.
Yeah.
And you've had the same president for a very long
For
time.
37 years.
37
now,
years.
yeah.
So it's not just a history lesson then. It's not just about the past and about this guy, Umnyobe was his name?
Umnyobe. It's about all this, because my generation today is really is in trouble. When you see what is happening in our countries, this is coming from this. We're living in a kind of chaos where we are trying to survive, and because we are really completely cut to our roots. We don't really know who we are.
Yeah.
Most of my generation and the other one are thinking that our continent was created just after the colonization,
Mhm.
and like Africa don't really have an history before. We don't really know what was happening before, even in our tradition. So it's like we are really a really young continent, but everyone is saying that everything started there.
Yeah.
So for me, I was asking myself that, okay, I'm coming from this place called Cameroon, but I don't really know anything about the history of this space, and I just have some. I just wrote some stuff about how when the Portuguese came, and then German, and then French and English, and like my country was born at this moment. But who was my grandfather?
Yeah.
How we were living, how was our democracy, how was our economic, how was our politics, our culture. We don't have anything about this. And I think the chaos we're living today is coming from the fact that we don't really just know who we are.
Well, how well known is this figure of Umnyobe and among Cameroonians of your generation?
It's complicated, because people knows about Umnyobe, but really like a far history, and people knows about him like a terrorist, because when I was in school, in our books, he was described like a terrorist.
Wow.
And in our village, people was talking about him like a hero. So for me, it was really strange that in school, I'm reading that this guy was a killer, a terrorist, and in all the villagers are just talking about him like a hero.
Well, let me ask you something. When you studied in school, what language were you being taught in?
French, and all the books was written by French.
And when you went back to the village, what language were you speaking there?
Bassa,
Bassa.
yeah. And so it's really strange because even our history was written by foreigners.
Yeah.
So it's really complicated because it was easy for them to just write what they wanted to say, and for us to study this because also we are trying to survive in this structure where the education, in this education way, politics way, where we don't really, we wasn't there when they created this, and no one asked to our grandfather that, do you want to be in a World Bank, for example? Do you want to be, in all these big structure here in U.S.? They didn't ask anything to anyone,
Yeah.
But also about the development. What is development? What is mean? What is sound for people living there? Are we sure that they really needs to to use oil, gas, and all this? No one, asked them. They
Yeah.
told them that this is how you have to be, So people are trying to survive with this, all things. And the structure was what was built for another environment, and they brought this in our environment because the environment is also teaching the way of life. When it's a lot of sun, where it's cold, you have to change, your way to act. And so we just trying to survive in a structure what doesn't have anything with us, anything with our roots.
So the infrastructure was imposed on you by
Absolutely.
these colonial forces.
Absolutely.
And so you have generations of Cameroonians who don't really know where they come from.
No, they don't know. Even our government never stopped and say, okay, the infrastructure and everything was built, was coming from there. So, but please, let's stop and see where we want to go,
Yeah.
where we're coming from. They never did this,
Yeah.
We just still running in a way we never choose. And at the same time, people who are living in those spaces, for example, can't just go to a holiday. For example, you take a family who makes a lot of money and decide to go to the holiday with the family. That's not possible. You need a visa, man. Yeah.
To leave the country.
Yes, absolutely.
So how did you leave?
I left with a visa first, and I was stuck in Cameroon for 8 months because one time when I went back to Cameroon to renew my visa. They denied me a visa, so I was stuck for 8 months in Cameroon. I was renting a house in France, in Paris. I was making my gigs there. Everything was running.
Yeah.
My career started there. But I was stuck for 8 months in Cameroon because I had a Cameroonian passport.
Yeah.
So when you have a French passport or a UK passport or American passport, man, you are really free, man, because you can go everywhere you want. But if you are an owner of African passport, you're not, man. You can't go where you want.
So does Cameroon, when you go back, does it still feel like home, even if you're kind of stuck there for 8 months?
Yeah, I was born there and I grew up there, and my brain was built by, this environment. My childhood and everything started. The life started there for me,
Yeah.
and now I'm traveling worldwide. But everything started, from there. And for me, I'm just a worldwide citizen, but I belong first to this, space. I used to call it space because for me it's not really a country. A country is something, or a nation is something what is built by the people who was living there,
Right.
with the same ambition, and but it's not the case for people who are living there. we still have living in a space where we don't decide for anything, even for coffee or what we are selling. The price is made by the one who's paying, who's saying that, like, Cameroonian decide to buy American cars, and we're going to say that I'm going to buy this wonderful, beautiful car for 100, just for $100. You know, no one will accept that.
Yeah,
but this is the case for coffee and a lot of things coming from there, for oil or for gas. This is the case.
Yeah.
You know, the one who's buying, he's deciding about the price he will buy it, because everything is just about the power.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a very big and very heavy topic, and yet the songs about it are full of light. There's a song called Agua, which you're going to play for us next, which on the record, on 1958, is a very stately, kind of almost orchestral sounding piece. It almost sounds like an anthem of sorts. What is this song about?
In Agua, I'm talking about I'm talking to Umnyobe, and I'm saying,
this is the freedom fighter.
Yes, I'm saying to him that Agua means in Bassa my brother, my friends, and I'm saying to him that you fight for our freedom. You were fighting for common interest. You are my friend. You're my brother. You gave your life for us. You gave your life, and you decided to give your life for a Cameroonian and African new generation. You are my friend. You are my brother, because when you see what is happening today, everyone is just fighting for his private interest, you know. And in this song, I'm trying to warn also people from my country, human being, to say that there are some people who decided to give their life for common interest. What is happening today? We know that capitalism is completely bringing our world in the way where no one knows what's going to happen soon. But how could we stay quiet and just following this without doing anything?
All right. You want to play the song for us?
Absolutely.
All right. It's a solo performance of Agua. The album is called 1958. My guest is Blick Bassy from Cameroon. Playing for us today, he'll be playing on Sunday at Summer Stage at Central Park here in New York. Here's this song called Agua.
Agua, when we say long yes ma pui, Agua yem we, Agua, when ubleres, imbungwes gisira. Agua yem we. Beskirium nilen Bing nanam Nang wes di ni be tamom Bing nanam Beskiring king anelen mutane mamam Inalem Mapire maporol main machelmes Oh 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 Yeah Oh Oh Nani ni bela
Once again, that is Blick Bassy, French-based, Cameroon-born singer, songwriter, guitarist, playing the guitar almost like a hammered dulcimer, hammering it with your fingers there.
Yeah.
It's a very different sound from what's on the record, which has horns and
Yes.
cello. But the song Agua, which comes from the album 1958, I suppose with songs that have a message like this, if you want that message to go wider, you would choose a language like French or English. But instead, you've chosen Bassa. Was that your first language?
Yes, it's my first language, and I think our first language is the language of the truth. You know, for example, when you're scared, you're afraid, the first language you have to speak at this moment.
Right.
is the first one. So if I want to be, if I want to be truth with people and I want to tell them about something what really important for me, I have to speak with my mother tongue. But also, I have discovered that the really main language is emotion, is vibration, is the energy. So I think, I just have to sing in Bassa.
Yeah. Although there is one track where we go, which is in both English and in French.
Yeah.
And currently in Cameroon, people forget that Cameroon was actually split up after World War I. It was a German colony, and then it was split between French and English.
Yes.
And those two factions are not getting along in recent times.
Finally, they brought the two Cameroonian part together. And the thing is that from the independence, only the French people was in the head of the country.
The government, yeah.
Yeah. So, and in our education, I know that people coming from the English part was treated like half Cameroonian, Yeah. But I think we don't really know that, because in our education it was almost something normal, but people are not really conscious about this. And finally, what is happening today, because actually in Cameroon there is something like 5 years now in Cameroon, we have a lot of issues with this Cameroonian part, because those Cameroonian was just asking about more infrastructure for the student, more equality between the other side and their side. But finally, they send the army there, and there's a kind of war there, and we have a lot of people who finally moved to Nigeria,
Uh-huh.
and yes, we still have issues there. Actually, still killing people there, but those people are Cameroonian because first we just speak the first language, and French and English is a kind of second language. I have people from my tribe Bassa who are coming and who belongs to this part of Cameroon. How could we think that because the second language is
different, yeah.
English, so they
Yeah.
are not really Cameroonian, but we are treating them like this, yeah.
Well, so Umniobe's fight continues.
Absolutely, because he was speaking about this. He was saying that we have to careful because this could happen, that at the moment they will try to divide the country with the French and English, but that's why in a certain time he was starting call Cameroon with K, like when the German was there.
Right.
Because when the German was there, it was the same. It was just only country, and the country was divided after
World War One.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're still fighting about all he was talking about, like tribalism. Actually, in Cameroon, we have really, it's really crazy because I'm afraid about what is happening there today. I have a friend of mine, a guy, for example, called Valsero, who was a huge musician. He's in prison from 6 months now because he was protesting about the last election in Cameroon, and this guy is still in prison today. But I feel that maybe it's because it's becoming the end of a period,
Yeah.
So the government is a bit in panic, so they trying to just taking everyone and putting in jail, and in a space what doesn't really belongs to us because they're still working for foreign interest.
Yeah.
That's what I don't really understand, that how you can still doing this in a space what doesn't really belongs to you. We didn't give the name of the country, the border. We didn't decide about the border of our country, about the politics, about the everything we have there.
Yeah.
And also about how we making education, going to school, what it means, how the system, all this system.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the borders, because if you look at the borders on a map, there's a straight line. One part of Cameroon is a straight line.
Yeah, how
And
is it
that doesn't happen
it's like
by
drawing something.
That's exactly right. Some guy, and I'm sure it was a guy, some guy drew that line, just like they did in the Middle East, and we know how that worked out.
Yeah.
Blick Bassy from Cameroon is here with us in our New York studio. He'll be back here in New York on Sunday playing summer stage at Central Park. He's playing some songs for us today, solo versions of tunes from his most recent album called 1958. And this final song you're going to do for us called Podol.
Yeah.
This is addressed to that same figure, right? To Umniobe.
Yes, Podol was Umniobe's nickname.
Yeah.
And Podol means the one who is speaking for us.
Okay.
And this was his nickname. And in this song, I'm drawing what everything he did for us, but also I'm talking about our responsibility. What are we doing today as a new generation? Why we don't step out and trying to start just writing the story by ourselves? Because every country is fighting to write a beautiful storytelling for his children. Why we don't step out and today start writing our own storytelling? Because the storytelling is what could help the new generation to be confident that, okay, we have a beautiful country, and so we can go further.
All right. Let's hear the song. Once again, Blick Bassy performing live.
Babi kolol, babi kos, babi pou, babi tem, babi bel, babil. Babi holos, babi kan, babi ke, is war. babitar, babitim, ingen. Nyukini che long imporol. Nyukini choli yomatai. Nyukini throws long imporola. Mbai ribi soros. Ribi lo ribi quest nio. Ribi lo ribi sem nio. Mbai ribi pos mama. Ribi lo ribi tes nio. Ribi yon ribi soros nio. Yukini chelong porol. Yukini choli yomatai. Yukini throws long imporola. Yukini chelong imporol. Yukini choli yomatai. Yukini throws long imporola. Bengan long yes kicking wall. Anybody be cho by miss. Nanole lo yo so na wala. Onge Sol abi selel nuyon nano wenu oya nila bengen boyong kiri niyong kere chango sebi tondi mahang mabe yumus murjango benge boyo kiri niyong sol abi selel nuyon nano wenu moya nila benge boyong Kiyo Nanale Dibiye Mambabes Mawala Nibene Bon Nibiye Long Wala King and Yawa Bila Duwe Mating Nanole Ubiye Mama Wa Benganim Bora King Ambela Duwe Benganim Ambela Duwe da 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 da. Bring away, giving war. None of that, living by a water.
Wow, that is Blick Bassy live solo. I was wondering what the second microphone was for. That's the affected voice that we heard in the chorus of the song. How high does your falsetto go?
I don't know.
You just keep finding higher and higher notes to hit. The song is called Bodol, and it comes from the album 1958, the latest from Blick Bassy, who will be back here on Sunday, Summer Stage at Central Park. Blick, it's a great pleasure to have you back. It's a terrific album.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
This is Soundcheck.